I'm going to take us out of practice session mode.
This meeting is being recorded.
Hello to everyone and welcome to today's virtual event. My name is Tanner Swift and I'll be your host for today's session. I'm excited to introduce some incredible speakers for you today, but before I hand the mic over to our presenters, we have a few housekeeping items to cover about this session. Today's virtual event will be recorded and made available on demand after the live session, and the playback will also be available on YouTube for rewatch as well. We will provide you with some further details at the end of today's event. Also, we'd love to hear from you during today's presentation. During the session, if you have any questions for our presenters, you can submit them via the Q&A panel here on WebEx, where we will answer your questions live during the Q&A portion of today's session. We'll also have a few poll questions sprinkled out through today's session for you to participate in via Slido. Be on the lookout for those links or QR codes as well. We'll provide some of those in the chat, or you can access Slido here through WebEx. So without further ado, I would like to welcome our speakers for you today, Senthil Arunagiri Nathan and Kelvin Miller, who are excited to discuss installing and managing agents at a scale with a centralized agent management console. We'll kick things off by first sending things over to Senthil. Senthil, right over to you.
Thank you, Tanner. Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to the Simplify and Automate Agent Management with Smart Agent session. I'm Senthil. I'm a security SME, and I have with me my co-presenter, Kelvin Miller, who's our Smart Agent SME. So agent management is quite hard, right? Yes, I do remember we have this question, but you know what? If it's easy for you, good. But you know what? We're going to make it easier for you then, right? So now, because typically it's not that easy, that's the reason why it's important to simplify it by automating it, right? So today we're going to look at the benefits of using Smart Agent along with the platforms and agent types it supports. Then we'll finish up with a demo going over features in the agent management interface and installing and upgrading Java and machine agents. See, we already mentioned agent management is hard, right? And it could be expensive as well, right? And especially when you have tens of thousands of agents. Our large customers on an average have about 40,000, and some of them as high as 1 million. Now, system-wide install of all these agents could take 2 weeks or more, right? Again, if it's 1 million, probably, right? Now, given that, the sheer numbers we're talking about, the number of agents and the total time, and it goes without saying that effort involved, the customers typically upgrade only once or twice a year, right? Again, so one might imagine like, hey, you know what? We're putting in less effort, spending less time, we're saving some cost, right? But the thing to consider is we are missing out on the opportunity cost by not upgrading as often as you should, right? What is that, right? You're missing out on the new features, right? That is an opportunity cost that needs to be considered. We'll talk about this more in a bit. We said agent management is hard. Well, because it's hard to get it right easily, right? So now, what is the cost of poor agent management, right? What are the consequences? Now, if you have an old agent, let's say it's a year or more older, now as you know, if it's more than a year, it's not supported. But you know, you're so happy that, you know, hey, you know what, it's more than a year, but it's working, you know, it's doing its job, right? But then you may run into compatibility issues, right? Because as the controller gets upgraded, right, the gap between these two in terms of the period of time, it's going to increase and compatibility issues arise. Now that would lead to problems, but you know what? There's no support, right? So that's going to be an issue that you're going to deal with. Another issue is like the delayed access to new features. So as you know, we roll out features in the agent as high as a monthly frequency, right? So now if you don't upgrade for like 6 months, you're missing out on all those great features which helps you get more value for the money that you already spent, right? So that is something to consider too. Now, again, if after having said I'm a security SME, right, I don't talk about risk, right? So you guys will be wondering, is this guy a security guy or not, right? I'm a security SME. I care about security and reducing risks, mitigating risk, not just security risk, legal risks, reputational risk, right? Now, how do we do that? By upgrading and patching your software as often as you can. And in certain cases, you must, based on the nature of the vulnerability, right? So anyway, so agent management, when it's not good, it makes it hard to upgrade, and thereby you're left with these issues. So now, agent management with Smart Agent to your rescue, right? So it's going to get a whole lot easier now. Using Smart Agent will give a centralized user interface to manage and maintain agents through the agent lifecycle, right from installation, upgrade, whatever, right? Smart Agent is deployed on each and every host so that it can intelligently automate the agent lifecycle on that process. Now, instead of having to go through each server or create scripts to do the install or upgrades, one can use Smart Agent to roll out the agents faster and make sure that they stay compliant with an easy upgrade process. Now, let's talk about onboarding, right? Some of you are wondering, like, hey, you know what? Aren't we supposed to talk about Smart Agent installation here? Now, so we need to look at why do you need Smart Agent? Well, because you want to observe your application, get some insight into your application. That's what you really want to do, right? And as part of doing that, you want to do it efficiently, right? Without incurring too much time, because you want to get to observing your application, gather insights, right? Now, that's what you want to do. Now, let's talk about onboarding of applications, whether this is the first application or the 100th or the 1000th application you're onboarding. Smart Agent has features that will make your life easier. For instance, auto discovery, right? It's also called the auto detect, okay? It will automatically discover all the processes running on the host that can be monitored. Now, what processes, you ask, right? The processes that can be monitored by AppDynamics, right? So once you use the Smart Agent to download the necessary agents, the auto attach feature will attach the agent to the application on the next restart of the application. Well, this is very valuable, right? For those people who have done it, like, manually, right? This is very valuable because there are no changes to the startup script. So that takes out the guesswork of where to put the agent Java options in the application, right? So that's something which people who have done it will understand, like, hey, I need to look at the documentation 10 times, to get that right. So right now, these features are only available for Java, Node.js, and Python, right? So now, yeah, I guess, this is something that's being improved upon, and soon, you may have these features rolled on to other agents as well. Right now, Java, Node.js, and Python. So another feature that is coming soon is the auto deploy feature. Usually when onboarding a new application, you guys know this best, right? The most labor-intensive part is installing the agent. So this feature will automatically download and install whatever agents are needed. How do we know, right? Well, Smart Agent knows the processes which are running and what process can actually be instrumented with AppDynamics. Well, based on that, it knows what agents are needed. It'll download and install for you. Boom. That's not automatic. It's like auto magic, right? So I want to make sure that you understand that with auto discovery, auto attach, and auto deploy working together, you would just install the Smart Agent, and then the Smart Agent will recognize which process can be monitored and download only the necessary agent with correct configuration. So all that you must do once the Smart Agent is done with the configuration is what? Just restart your application, right? So, and everything is in place, you're ready to observe your application and gather some useful insight. Now you ask, hey, how do you know what application to restart, right? Well, the process tab in the UI will show you which processes need to be restarted for monitoring, right? Now, I shouldn't forget this command line interface, right? I know like a lot of you are power users, right? Like you would say, hey, Senthil, like I like this UI and all, man, clicking the buttons and all, but what, the real job, and I need to do it a million times, okay? So give me something better, right? Well, Smart Agent comes with a command line interface. It's another functionality it comes up with, right? I'd like to make you aware of this command line interface, which some of you may prefer, as I already mentioned, like power users. And it's a lot of mention in the smart agent documentation. You can find commands that will allow you to do mass rollouts on remote servers using host inventory files. With this interface, you will have the ability to install, upgrade, and uninstall all supported agents, including the what agent? Including the smart agent, right? Itself, right? So the main takeaway here is that the smart agent will reduce end-to-end instrumentation from days to, I would say, from weeks to days to hours. And again, I'll tell you what, once you understand how to do this, as Kelvin will show you, you can probably do it in minutes, right? Again, putting pressure on Kelvin right there, but what I know it can be done, right? Without dragging in the application architect to tell you, hey, what processes, what should I implement, and all that. You just leave it to the smart agent, okay, to detect what processes are there, what agents are needed, and all that, and help you onboard the application quicker. All right, so then you're wondering, hey, what platforms do you support? Well, there you go. All major platforms are supported. The install commands are all displayed on the slide, but that's where you wouldn't go. You would go to the documentation, right? So once installed, there is a config file that needs to be configured with the controller info, right? I'm sure like Kelvin is going to show that. And again, because Smart Agent needs that, right? After configuring the file, we would set up the agent to run as a service in the background so that it can connect to the controller, right? Using the information in the config file which you configured. And that's how you get this magic agent lifecycle management for you to reduce all the time and effort that you would otherwise be spending. All right, and then you're wondering, oh, Smart Agent, can it help me manage the lifecycle for all the agents that AppDynamics supports? A significant subset is what I would say, right? And also a subset of agents that have a large footprint in our install basis with our large customers, right? So again, clearly you would see this Java and .NET and Node.js, no brainer, and then this machine agent. And of course, database agent, you may not have these numbers wise, as many numbers as, let's say, APM agent or a machine agent, but it's freaking important, right? Yeah, so those are the agents, some of the agents which are supported by Smart Agent today. But there'll be more tomorrow. No, not tomorrow as in tomorrow as in sometimes in the future, right? All right, so with that, I guess, we want to get to the demo, I'm sure, right? You want to see it. Come on, Senthil, show it. Well, Senthil is not going to show it. Kelvin is going to do that. Now, to improve the operational efficiency, right? You want to make sure that you don't spend more time maintaining your systems, but the value of this in just setting the motion, right? But what is that? The smart agent, right? Just put it in there and let it do the work for you, right? And you can innovate, you can do something more productive, which the smart agent cannot do, right? So now the next thing is you can do features, right? Get more value out of the product, right? By upgrading often and get more features, get the value, get more insights. And smart agent is not what you really need, right? It's the application insight that you want, right? And you want it now, right? You want to onboard an application, you want it now. And then what helps you do that now without incurring too much time, planning, effort is the smart agent, right? Now, with that, I will switch to demo, and I'm going to turn it over to Tanner, who's going to share with us some results of the poll. Over to Tanner.
Of course. Thanks so much, Senthil. Really appreciate it. Before we do hand over the ball to Kelvin here for our demo, just as a reminder, we have some poll questions for you to participate in today via Slido. You can either use the Slido link that is in the chat screen here. You can also use the Slido panel here on WebEx to answer those questions as well. Just a few for you to answer throughout today's session, including our first one. Agent lifecycle management today is a piece of cake, manageable, or unbelievably hard? So take some time to answer those questions. We'll really appreciate it. We'll also recap some answers of those questions near the end of today's session. So at this time, we are going to kick it over to Kelvin Miller, who is now joining us today with a demo. Kelvin, right over to you.
Thank you, Tanner, and great presentation done by Synthel. Happy to present demo this today. What I have on the screen today is a test application that you see 3 nodes reporting into. You see nodes 3 through 5. I left 1 and 2 off. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to install the smart agent on those 2 nodes. Well, on the first node, I've already have it loaded on the second node just so we don't have to be redundant. And you look at node 3 and 4, they're running an older version of the application agent, and it's also running an older version of the machine agent. We're going to upgrade these 2 to the latest version, and we may have something special for node 5 depending on the time. So let's get started with installation of the smart agent on node 1. So I'm going to go over to the command line, and on node 1, I've already downloaded the RPM file. I'm using the Smart Agent 24.6 RPM file. So I'm just going to go in the agent directory where I downloaded the file. And I'm going to run the yum install. Well, I'm going to do an ls so you can see the files. So the Smart Agent file should be in here somewhere. Here it go right here. So I'm going to run yum, if I can type, install appd smart agent _64. Hit tab. Hopefully, still, I'm just going to actually copy and paste it. Be easier way to do it. And now I'm going to hit enter. Hit yes to do that. We want to do the installation. And now it started doing the installation. While installing, I'm going to go over to demo 2. And I'm going to show you, because this is just a regular install. It's going to complete in a second. But while it's installing, we're going to just look at the config file that we're going to have to make a change to within the Smart Agent. If you notice, it pretty much contains the usual files that you enter into the control info.xml file. You have to add in the controller URL, the actual ports. For SAS, it'll be 443, and the FM server port would match. Then you have your controller key, controller name, and true. And then if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see that it also have run auto discovery, the processes that need to be monitored. And you also have auto install. It's set to false now. Hopefully, as Synthel said in his presentation, that this portion will be coming out soon, where you can switch that to true, and it'll automatically go out and download the proper agent you need within the process of installing the Smart Agent. So let's go back over to the demo 1 and see have it completed. As you notice, it completed successfully. So what I've done is I've already have a config.ini file created. So what I'm going to do is copy it over to the AppDynamics AppD Smart Agent directory. So we see it here. That's the config that came with the installation. So I'm going to take a command that I have on my second monitor and just copy it over. And you just see I'm copying the config.ini file over. So it's configured. After I copy it over, now I'm going to enable the service by running, I'm already root. So I'm just going to say system CTL enable smart agent service. Hit enter. It creates the sim link to enable it. And now I'm going to actually start the smart agent by typing systemctl start smart agent service, enter. And now I can do an env, And usually when you do this ENV, you should see a LD preload along with the smart agent ID. But as you can see in our environment variables, we don't see it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log out of the server and log back in so it can reset those environment variables. We see that we have the actual smart agent ID along with the LD preload variable set, and the LD preload is the variable that allows the agent to start up with the application on restart. So now we should be able to go over into the GUI and go into agent management. Go click on smart agent. I'm going to switch right back over to the actual command line for 1 second. So the smart agent we're looking to install is BEFB. Well, it's already installed, but to make sure it's reporting is BEFB. So now when I go back over, I see BEFB here. So the smart agent is now up and running, it's active, and now we're able to install agents onto the server. So now I'm going to use this install agent button right here to actually install the Java agent and machine agent on nodes 1 and 2. Node 2 ID ends with MCN, so it's this one right here. And another thing, I already have the application running on Node 2. So if we go into processes, remember how we said that it'd pick up the process, so we could see right here that the actual process for MCN has been found, but it tells you right here it's unmonitored. So now we want to set it up to be monitored, and it says that we need to make sure we add an agent onto it and then restart it. So let's go ahead and add that agent. So let's do it, install Java agent. We're going to click. Now, we're just doing the select from list, but you also can import from CSV file. If you have a large list of agents that you want to install the agent on, I suggest you use the import CSV, but since we're only doing 2, and just for this demo, I'm going to just manually do it. So it was this one and MCN. We're going to shift it over, hit apply, done. And now we're able to set up the application tier and node name. The key to doing this is when you type it in, you have to click on it. There's no way to really tell that it's clicked on, but you have to click on top of the field and then click edit. And the application name was test app 1, and then you have to hit enter. And let's do it for the second one also. Click on it and then click edit. Change it to test app 1. Enter. Now let's do it for the node. For the tier. Click on that. Now change the tier name. I think the tier name is just tier. Hit enter. And you have to do it for both servers. So changing it here. Enter. And I'm going to change the node name to node 1 and 2. Enter. And let's go to the next one. Edit. Node 2. And like I say, if you're doing a long list, I would suggest using the CSV approach than having to do this for each server. At the end, you notice that it have the installation directory. You can change this installation directory if needed, or you can just leave it as the default. And by the way, this will be the default if you're using Windows 2. You'll have to change it to a Windows-based directory structure. But even when you're doing a Windows install, it'll come up with the Linux type format. So let's hit next. Now we can set up how we want this, the files we want, well, the attributes. We want to enable SSL. You could use AppDynamic portal to pull the agent down, or if you have security reasons that you want to bring the agent down and run some kind of security check before you have it go out to the server, you can do it and set up your own AppDynamic portal to store your own agents to make sure you're using only the versions that are approved by your company. Or you can also use the custom HTTP URL to store your personal agent installations. So for here, we're going to leave it as the latest, but you notice you can also add in custom configurations. Down here, by hitting the additional configurations, you can add more keys into the startup line in case you have something configured custom that you need to add into your startup. You can use this line right here to add those features in. But this installation is just going to be a basic installation. So I'm going to uncheck it and just hit install and go to task. And now we see up on the tasks in progress that there's 2 Java agent install taking place at this time in progress. While these agents are being installed, we're going to go ahead and do the machine agent, which is pretty much the same process. You click on agent, click on install agent, and now we're just going to click machine. Next, you have the same option where you can use the CSV file, but we're just going to do it from the list. So stretch this out to make sure we get the right 2 smart agents and move them over. Done. Next. Now we go to enable SSL, JRE support. We're going to leave it at the latest. We're going to turn on SIM enable. And once again, we can add different keys into the startup line if we need it to. But we're doing a basic installation, so I'm going to uncheck that, hit install. And now we see that we have both the install agent and machine agent running at the same time. While these 2 are installing, there's no reason to sit around and wait. We're going to go ahead and look at the node 3 and 4 that need to be upgraded. So we're going to go into our agent, app server agent, and we go find those smart agents, which are 31 and this one. Now we can hit upgrade up at the top. We can click on default upgrade, which is going to take us to the latest version, or we can click on custom upgrade in case you always want to stay a version behind the latest or something for some reason, for some security reason. Maybe you want to run a couple of versions behind. You can choose the different versions by using custom upgrade. I'm just going to do a default upgrade, leave it to the newest, since that's what we plan to do, upgrade to the newest version. Click upgrade now. Go to progress. And now we see Java agents being upgraded. Once we do that, now we can go in here once again, do an install agent, do machine agent. Oops, I'm sorry. Let's go back. Let's cancel out of this. And we will go into machine agent right here. We go click the 2 machine agents. I believe it was this one and 31. And we're going to upgrade the machine agent. And the same thing here. You can custom and go back and use a different version. You can reuse config, or you can change the configurations here. But we're going to use default. So I'm going to leave it on default. Hit upgrade now. And go to task in progress. And now we see that all 4 tasks are running in progress. While these are running, and I'm just going to go back over here to agents. And we're just going to look at some of the items, some of the features that's in the agent management console up on the agents. So right now you can see where we can filter, where we can add a filter in. And for instance, we can look at only the managed by smart agent agents. So if I click manage and click apply, I see only the ones that's managed by the smart agent. We can also pick which columns we want to see in the grid down here. If we choose a couple of them, just click on a couple, you'll see that we can disable, enable. We can go into configuration and make configuration changes. Of course, we can do the upgrade. We could delete, reset, and then we got this action here where we can go into actions and we can do bulk enable, bulk disable, select to bulk reset. And the big one is we can also do rollbacks. So if you upgrade and something happened you don't like, or you have an issue with the newer version, you can easily come in here and you can roll back to the previous version. You can export the grid, which is big for when you create that CSV file. If you once the smart agent is installed and you go in this, I'm gonna go in the smart agent and show you can export this grid right here, so you can easily create that CSV file to do the agent install. You have a history here that shows you the history of your installation issue. Download the actual log file of what happened, what caused it to error out. Here, config management is it only worked with Node.js, and it's just where you can get the configuration file and put it in here. A big item also is with deployment. You have your deployment groups. Over time, when you get used to using it, maybe you want to put all your applications in separate groups so you can upgrade a application at a time. You don't have to go through the long list of picking which server should be upgraded. You can just put them all in a deployment group and then just click on that deployment group and upgrade all of them at the same time. So, and once again, the processes here are the processes that AppDynamics can monitor. The cool thing is you notice that up under the processes that it also shows the machine agent as a Java option that can be monitored. The smart agent is smart enough to know not to instrument the machine agent. LD preload is a file that is configured so that it only starts the Java agent with certain applications, certain Java processes. So if I go etc opt AppDynamics, I see a LD preload file. If I VI that file, you can see which, and this is a pre-configured file, and it shows you which types of application would get the Java agent during startup. So if you look in here, if we look at machine agent, I'm just going to search for machine agent. And you notice that everything else is set to true, but machine agent is set to false. So that will cause it not to start the Java agent with machine agent. I'm going to exit out of here. Let's go back into the controller and see whether those installation have completed. Okay, most of them have completed. This machine agent install is still running. One's successful, the other one's still going. So let's go and look at the Java agent on those boxes. So we're going to go into one that's we're already in, and we're going to stop and start this application. And I haven't made any changes to the startup script for this application. So I'm just going to stop.sh. And now the Java agent should pick this application up automatically since we installed it on this box. So I'm just gonna start .sh, and you see the first thing that starts up is the Java agent. And I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing here for server number 2. So stop the app and start it back, and it should start the Java agent first. And then as you see, the agent starting up, and right after the agent starts up, we'll see the application start. So Java agent started successfully, and now here's the application. So let's go back into one. And the thing with the machine agent, when you load the machine agent automatically starts straight off start, because the machine agent is a totally separate process as far as the Java agent runs with your application. So we're not going to bring down an application, but we can start up a machine agent. So if I do a ps-ef pipe grep for Java, you'll notice that the actual machine agent automatically started on this box without us having to go out and start it up. So just doing the smart agent install, it installed the machine agent, and it also started machine agent. So now if we go into the actual application, which was test app 1, look at the tiers, and we'll see that now one report over time, these would go up to 100%, and the machine agent will eventually connect to it and also go up to 100%. So that's pretty much the installation of the smart agent and the machine agent, from the installation to the upgrade. So do I have time to actually go over the CLI?
Yeah, definitely. There are a couple of questions which are pouring in, but I'm sure they would benefit from the CLI demo. Thank you.
Okay, so Node 5 is what we're going to do the CLI on. So I'm going to switch back over to my command line. I'm going to go into Node demo 5, and if I go into the ops appd CLI directory, you see that there's a appd file in green, which is the main file, but there's also a config.ini file, which pretty much contains the same information as the previous config.ini file. This box already have an agent loaded on it. So to install the agent, I'm going to upgrade the agent, since it's already one on here. I'm actually going to type /appd for the to run the appd file, and then I'm going to say upgrade Java, and let's go to 24.10. Unknown version. Let's see. Let's try 24.11. Let me see. I left something out. -V for version. And now it's upgrading that Java to 24.10. You can also do an install with the smart agent, and the thing is, you use the same things. You say /appd install Java -version, but then you add the variables of the application name, tier name, and node name behind it, so it can be able to configure the controller.info.xml during the installation. And when you do the machine agent, it's pretty much the same way, same line, except for instead of Java, you would just put machine, and it would upgrade the machine agent. So that's pretty much how you would use the CLI to do an installation and an upgrade. With the installation, you have to have the variables behind it and change the upgrade to install. And for the upgrade, you just add the version that you want to upgrade to. So, and I do find that to me, the CLI is faster than doing it through the console. So that's pretty much how you do it. It's finished doing the upgrade now. Now we can go in. And we see that now the new version is on 24.11. So if I was to go /home to and stop.sh, start.sh, it should come up with on the new version. And since I'm doing it, let's go ahead and stop and start the other ones. So we can just finish the installing. Everything now should be running on a newer version. Once we go back into the controller. And as you see, everything is on 24.12. I did the other ones to 24.11. I did the Node 5 to 24.11, so it should switch over to 24.11 shortly. And there it go. It changed over to 24.11. Oh, actually changed names. Any questions? Well, Tanner, that pretty much concludes my demo. Hand it back over to you.
Really appreciate it, Kelvin. Thanks so much for the demo. We love to see demos here anytime that we bring you all a live event. Just an incredible job. Thanks so much. At this time, we are close to our Q&A portion of today's event. So just as a friendly reminder, if you do have a question for Senthil or Kelvin, please use the Q&A panel here on WebEx to ask your question, and we will answer them. If you can't find that Q&A panel, the three little dots at the lower right of your WebEx screen will allow you to expand that panel and ask your questions. Senthil, before we do get to those questions real quick, though, wanted to go over a couple of these poll questions if we had a couple moments.
Yep, definitely.
So let's go to our poll question 2 and 3. Just before the demo, we asked if you were using Smart Agent. Right now, 70% or 75% of our attendees are not using Smart Agent, while 25% are. And looking at when are you planning to explore Smart Agent, it is a 4-way tie at 25%. By the end of January, within 3 months, within 6 months, or we love our own homegrown agent management process. And just as a reminder, if you want to continue to vote on those poll questions, you can use the poll question link in the chat and or the Slido panel here on WebEx. So I believe we do have a few questions that have started to rolling in, starting with a couple from David. So Senthil, I'm going to kick it to you as you guys can answer a few of those.
Super. Thank you, Tanner. Hey, Kelvin, that was an excellent demo. I'm sure people are going to love it, and they want to change their poll actually soon so that they want to use it now. So with that, let's jump to a couple of questions which are here. All right, so the first question is, if we have a prod and non-prod environment, can we manage all of the agents with one smart agent?
So if you have a prod and non-prod environment, each each host will have its own smart agent. So that smart agent will point to, would just have to point to the proper controller. So yes, I don't think no one would have production and non-production applications reporting on the same host. So that should be no problem.
Right. So basically, like the configuration will be different on these two different smart agents. One will be pointing to the prod controller. The other one in the lower environment will be pointing to that lower environment's controller when we are configuring. Yeah.
Correct.
Excellent. Okay. All right. The next one is, I'm assuming if we have a .NET agent, this is all basically the same. I mean, referring to the demo, the steps which you were sharing, they're asking whether there is anything special which needs to be done for .NET.
The only thing that would be special is, especially if you're using Windows, is remember that the default path is going to show in the Linux format. So you have to change it over to a Windows format. That would be pretty much be the only change.
Okay. So the next one is the smart agent available for on-prem? Is it only for SaaS or also for on-prem?
Yes, the agent management console is both in SaaS and on-prem, so you can use the smart agent in both.
Okay, all right, super, that's good. I guess a lot of people love on-prem as well, right? So next one, does deploying the smart agent require uninstalling existing agents, or is this an incremental process that builds from the existing installed base?
It will, you don't have to uninstall it. It will find the install agent on next reboot and start managing it. So pretty much all you have to do is install the smart agent, wait for your next restart of your application, and then the smart agent will start managing the old agent.
Got it. So the next question, so I'm also a performance guy. I introduce myself as a security SME, but I care about performance as well. I do see that there's a question on that, which is, will the smart agent for agent management have an impact on the host computer's compute consumption, right? Now, if so it does have some, then what is the expected additional compute load because of the smart agent?
During installation, you may see a little consumption, but after installation, it should run no more than what the regular agent. You shouldn't have no more effect than what it has now with the regular agent, because it basically just sitting there waiting for something to come in.
Okay, got it. All right, so next one is, this is a money question, really, right? Do I need to buy new licenses for the solution in addition to my existing, agent licenses? Like, how do I buy Smart Agent?
Smart Agent is free. I mean, it's no price, no license. It's something that Cisco decided to give to you all to try to ease the pain of installing agents.
It's right time, man. Holiday season, like just to reduce your time usage, and reduce your effort, and you get that for free, right? Just can't beat that. That's great. Let's see here. One more here. Is a smart agent needed on every host? Well, I think I can answer this one. Yes, it's needed in every host. All right. So, but next one, I guess I'm going to let you answer. What are the various ways to deploy the smart agent?
You get the various ways to
install the smart agent. Is there multiple ways or just only one way?
Trying to think how to answer that, because you can do the manual install, which I did today of the smart agent. You can do it through Ansible. Trying to look at.
So you keep referring to something called RPM install and all that. Is there a different kind of outside of that?
I would probably, me doing the installation, I'm just going to say how I would do it. I would probably use a script to do it. The installation, it's pretty much just a quick yum command. So I would probably script it out and just run a script to send it out to from a jump server to load it from all my application servers so that they can be monitored.
Got it. Got it. So now, see, this question says, does Smart Agent support rollback? And I know, at least in the slides, I said it can be installed, upgraded, configured. I did not say anything about rollback, and I guess hence the question, I guess.
When I was doing the demo, I showed you on the agent console, there was a section up on the action where you can do bulk rollback. So if you was to do an installation and you decide that installation was not working for you, you can roll it back to the previous installation. Got it.
Got it. And if you don't like anything with the agent, or you suspect that the agent could be causing an issue, which is unlikely, by the way. But if it is, yep, then you have an option. It's an option of rolling back, which is good news. All right. Next one is, can Smart Agent handle multiple applications on the server on the same host? Yeah.
It can, but when you have multiple applications, you do have to make a change in the startup script, because otherwise there's only one controller info.xml. So all agents would point to that and it would cause a conflict. But you can add those variables within your startup script, or you can go into, when you're doing the installation, you can install like the Java agent in multiple places and then just point to that Java agent.jar file and it will pick up the correct controller info.xml.
Well, that's a little bit more involved, but you know what? I guess you answered that. That will help, right? The next one here is, can we upgrade all agents at one time using the agent management console and Smart Agent? Can we upgrade all agents at one go?
You cannot have one big batch of different types of agents. For instance, if you're doing a batch, they all have to be Java agent. The next batch can be .NET agents, but you can't do them all. The best way to take care of that, though, is using the deployment groups. Create your deployment groups of your certain type of application. That way you just can pick which type you want to do from that deployment group and just do that group at one time.
Got it. So basically the answer is yes and no, right? S, when you want to upgrade a zillion of same type of agents, like Java agents, yes, you can do this zillion of them. But again, if you want like 10 Java, 5 .NET, 5 Python, then you need to have a slightly different strategy there, right?
Correct.
Okay, super. That explains that. I think we do have some time for a couple of questions. All right. Can agent management also be used to migrate from AppDynamics on-prem to SaaS? So can we use this to migrate from AppDynamics on-prem to SaaS?
Yes, if you set that config.ini file to point, just say if you have the agent point to the on-prem controller now, and you decide to go to a SaaS controller, you just have to change the config.ini URL and port to match the right place, and then do the install, and you should be good to go.
Okay, so it's essentially saying it's a no-brainer. Just go update the config file with the correct URL of the SaaS. Replace the on-prem URL with SaaS. Okay, all right, super. Right. Just quickly squeezing in one or two here. Are older agents removed when agents are upgraded?
Yes, the agent would be removed. If you're doing CLI, well, they'll be put in a backup folder.
Okay.
But yes, they will eventually be removed.
Right. Okay. That's how you're able to do the rollback, I guess, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Correct. Got it. Okay. All right. So I know, like, we want to wrap up here. Like, let's just have this one last question. Can agent management also be used to migrate from AppDynamics? Oh, so that's something which I've already asked. Okay, so I just pasted it twice. So I guess we are good then. We're running out of time, just a few minutes remaining. So I'm sure like Tanner has maybe a poll question or two to kind of results to share and then wrap up. So I'm going to hand it back to you, Tanner.
Really appreciate it, Senthil and Kelvin. Thank you all so much for bringing your knowledge to the Cisco community today. I actually do want to kick it back to you both here real quick. Kelvin, I'll start with you. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our attendees before we do wrap up here?
I'm pretty good. I think I'm okay.
Great. Thanks so much. Senthil, is there anything else that you'd like to leave with our attendees?
Yeah. So again, as a security person, I definitely have vested interest in promoting Smart Agent, right? So now most of the customers and my colleagues, use something called as a config assessment tool to assess, the health of the controller and all. And we do find, significant number of agents which are old, right? Now, again, when we probe them, again, with my security hat, I said, oh, wow, that's old. You may be missing on some security fixes on that. That's not good. Your risk is high now. And they say, hey, you know how much effort it takes to, upgrade, right? So that's why we don't, man. Now, see, the answer to that question, right, is Smart Agent, right? And then you mitigate risk. So anyway, so that's the point I want to drive home. Yes, as a security person, it's my invested interest to have people adopt Smart Agent so that they can upgrade as often as they can and want to mitigate risk. And in addition, you get this bonus of new features, so you can get more value out of the product, right? So now I would encourage those who attended to share the link for this presentation, convenient YouTube link to your fellow team members, and then have them adopt it. Then you're basically giving them a present by helping them save time, and it's free and they are more efficient, right? So just share the present, and then with that, when you're sharing a present, I should not forget, thank you for joining and happy holidays. Back to you, Tanner.
Well, let me add one thing also.
Sure.
I like the way that we thought out the Smart Agent, not just balling up everything into one big agent and just throwing it out there. We actually put some thought into the customer's resources. So we're just not saying, hey, you need 10 gigs of hard drive space to hold an agent. We're just giving you what you need instead of just putting everything out there. So I thought that was a smart way of architecturing the Smart Agent. And I think that to have the customer in mind when you create this is something big. Space is not expensive, but when you start talking about doing it for, 1,000 servers or so, stuff starts to add up. So I like that we put the thought behind it and considered the customers and their finance as far as buying space for their servers. So I just wanted to mention that it was a very intelligent way of doing this by not just throwing everything out there and just saying, hey, pick what you want. No, we're going to give you what you need type of philosophy of doing it. So that's what I wanted to add, Tanner.
Thanks, Colin. Really appreciate it. Before we do wrap up here, here's one additional quick question that just came in from David before we do wrap up. I'm going to provide some resources and stuff here in a minute, but David would like to know, is there documentation for how to install on Windows?
Yes, I'm pretty sure it is. Because even in the presentation, Senthil, one of the slides had the command for Windows. So
exactly,
the documentation is definitely out there.
Yep.
Great. Thanks so much. And David, I'll include a link here to our post-webinar discussion thread here in a moment, which will have some of those resources for you to be able to access, such as Smart Agent, some of the free trial options, and more that you can view. So once again, I want to thank Senthil and Kelvin for bringing their knowledge to the Cisco community today. Just a real outstanding job. If you do have an additional question for either of our presenters, we'll keep that Q&A window open for a couple more minutes. For even more tutorials, demonstrations, demonstrations, and future webinars, please visit the Cisco Learning Network. You can also follow up with any further questions about today's event, view the resources from today's session and its recording through the post-webinar discussion post on the Cisco Learning Network. I've just placed a link in the chat screen for you there where you can follow up with us. At this time, you'll be redirected to a post-event survey. Please take the time in answering those questions as it helps us prepare some future sessions. Once again, we thank everybody for joining us today, and we will see you next time on the Cisco Learning Network.